Alone for 15 years, a millionaire's heart was touched by an unexpected maid's life-changing invitation. Martin Donovan stood gazing out over his sprawling Los Angeles estate, a panorama of lush greenery and opulence. The mansion, every inch reflecting his wealth, was gloriously empty, echoing the void in his heart. 15 years of relentless work, chasing money, had left him without laughter, without love, without anyone to share it all. Robots were his only friends, they polished floors and catered to his every whim. When his mother passed, he buried his grief in business, a choice that had grown into an unbearable burden of loneliness. Just a few miles away, Rosa woke to the sound of her children arguing over breakfast. The walls of their small house were thin, the bills high, and life pressed down on her like a heavy storm. A single mother working as a maid, she fought daily against the tide of economic despair. But her spirit was vibrant, the way she spoke to her kids filled every room with warmth, an ember of resilience that refused to extinguish. When fate brought Rosa to the attic of her latest cleaning job, she stumbled upon an old, dusty box. Curious, she opened it to find letters tied with ribbons, yellowing with time. One particular letter caught her eye. As she read the delicate, looping handwriting, it felt as though it leaped off the page. It was from Martin's late mother, filled with love and dreams for her son. The words sang of family, togetherness, everything Martin had long forgotten. Rosa felt compelled to give it back. The day she knocked on Martin's grand door, her heart raced. Standing before the magnolia wood, she felt the weight of a million judgments: his wealth, his privilege, his isolation. Martin opened the door, surprise etching his features. A moment of recognition flashed in his eyes, but the air was thick with unspoken biases. "Is Mr. Donovan home?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tremors of doubt inside. "What do you want?" Martin's tone was clipped, a mask hiding profound regret and sorrow. Rosa, holding the letter tightly, took a breath. "I found something that belongs to you," she managed, fighting the urge to turn on her heels. Their first interaction was charged, an electric mix of tension and vulnerability. Rosa's bravery stood at odds with Martin's comfortable detachment. Two lives, bound by a letter yet separated by worlds, collided in that moment. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." After a long, heavy silence, his eyes fell on the letter. Anguish washed over him as he felt how desperately he needed to reconnect with the past. Meanwhile, Rosa stood firm, sensing the duality of their worlds. She was no longer just a maid, she was a bridge to the connection he'd forsaken. Then disaster struck their neighborhood, an accident that shook the very ground beneath their feet. Martin watched from afar, the reality of his isolated opulence hitting him like a brick wall. As chaos erupted, the truth began to dawn on him. This time, he could no longer look away. Rosa's anguish spoke to him. Could he step outside of himself? Could he learn what it meant to give back, to be part of something bigger? Would he finally shatter the walls around his heart and allow connection to seep in, even if it terrified him? With determination swirling through the air, the question loomed like the dark clouds above. Would he answer the call of compassion, or remain a prisoner of his own making? As the chaos unfolded outside, time seemed to freeze for Martin. The flashing lights of emergency vehicles illuminated his mansion, casting shadows that danced across the luxurious interior. He could see the panic in Rosa's eyes as she darted past the crowd, trying to rescue her children from the fray. She was fierce, unyielding, and desperate, a force of nature in a world that often swept her aside. Something stirred deep within Martin. The emptiness he had grown accustomed to was suddenly filled with a longing to reach out. He stepped outside, the fragrant night air mixed with smoke and the faint cries of children. The stark contrast between his life of leisure and Rosa's struggle hit him harder than he anticipated. "Rosa!" he called, his voice breaking through the clamor. She turned, eyes wide with surprise as if his presence was a mirage. "Mr. Donovan?" she gasped, then quickly shifted her focus back to her children. I can help," he interrupted, stepping closer. His offer felt both foreign and exhilarating. Did he even know how to help? He had spent so long ignoring his own humanity, and now he was being urged to act on it. Her eyes scrutinized him, searching for sincerity. "Why would you want to help me?" she asked, folding her arms defensively. Because his mind raced. "I saw something in that letter. Your spirit. You remind me of what I've lost. I don't want to just stand here anymore." Just as the words left his mouth, they heard a loud crash. An old structure near them began to collapse, sending a wave of panic through the crowd. Adrenaline coursed through Martin. Without thinking, he lunged forward, grabbing Rosa's arm and pulling her toward safety. "Get down!" he shouted, shielding her with his body as debris rained down. Heart pounding, he felt her small frame tense under his protection, and for a brief moment, he was not just a millionaire, he was a man capable of feeling. When the world settled back into a fragile silence, Martin looked into Rosa's eyes, their breaths mingling in an unexpected intimacy. He was surprised by her vulnerability shining through her fierce exterior. "Maybe you can help me too," he whispered. "Help you?" She blossomed with cautious hope, furrowing her brow. "How?" Martin took a deep breath, letting the scent of earth after rain fill him with purpose. "I want to learn about compassion. About real connection." Rosa studied him carefully, uncertainty etched across her features. "And you think you can learn that from me?" From someone who still believes in hope," he interjected, a resolve forming. "I want to understand. I want to know what it feels like to be a part of something real, something that matters." A flicker of disbelief crossed her face, but it was mixed with something else, curiosity, perhaps. "You really mean that?" "I do. I'm tired of being alone, Rosa. I'm tired of my walls." The admission hung in the air, raw and terrified yet liberated. For the first time, Rosa smiled, a soft, fragile glow. "Then let us start with today. Let us help those kids." Martin nodded, a sense of relief washing over him. He felt his heart begin to warm, and along with it, the hope that he could finally change. Perhaps connecting with Rosa was the first step toward redemption. But as they turned to face the lingering disaster together, the enormity of his decision weighed on him. Was he ready for the journey ahead? The answer remained uncertain, but there was no turning back now. With hearts racing and lines blurred between their worlds, they stepped into the chaos, ready to discover what lay in store. Would they find healing in each other, or would the shadows of their pasts threaten to pull them back apart? As they moved into the chaos, the scene before them was surreal. The air buzzed with fear and uncertainty. Martin clutched Rosa's hand, feeling its warmth, a stark contrast to the chill running down his spine. They navigated through the crowd, searching for children amidst the shouts of adults calling for help. "Over there." Rosa pointed, her voice rising above the din. Martin followed her gaze to a small group of kids huddled against a wall, faces streaked with dirt and tears. They trembled, eyes wide with fear. Fear. It struck him hard, he had been sheltered from this world for too long. He turned to Rosa, who was already moving toward them. "Stay here," she barked, careening into action. Watching her, inspiration surged through him. He couldn't stay still, he wouldn't. He needed to be a part of this, to contribute, to help. Shoving aside his hesitation, Martin jogged after her, feeling a sense of urgency. "Kids!" Rosa called out, crouching to their level. "We're here to help you. Can you come to us?" The kids looked up, their wide eyes filled with uncertainty. One little boy, maybe 6, took a step forward, cautiously breaking from the group. Martin felt a rush of admiration for the bravery being shown in such frightening circumstances. "Come on," Martin encouraged, kneeling beside Rosa. "It's safe now. We won't let anything happen to you." With glancing confidence, the boy reached out, and soon the others followed. One by one, they broke free from their makeshift barricade. Rosa enveloped them in her arms while Martin gently guided them toward an open space, where the emergency crew was working. The flicker of joy in those children's eyes as they realized they were safe pierced through the fog of uncertainty. In that moment, Martin felt a surge of fulfillment. This was what it meant to connect, to break down walls, to feel the raw, tough love of humanity. "Where are your parents?" Rosa asked gently as she brushed a tear from the cheek of a little girl who seemed to have lost all hope. The children exchanged glances, their innocent faces marred by confusion. It struck a chord deep within Martin. He recalled his own childhood, the feelings of safety and security. He wanted to give them that same comfort. We don't know," the boy replied, his voice trembling. "They were here earlier, but we lost them." Their words twisted Martin's heart. The very weight of their innocence and fear rooted him to the spot. Rosa pressed the children closer. "It's okay. We'll find them. But for now, let us make sure you're safe." At that, Martin sprang back into action. He began to work alongside the responding teams, relaying information, helping to locate missing parents, and offering water to the frightened children. For the first time in years, the emptiness that had loomed over him began to dissipate. Every laugh, every smile they managed to coax from those little faces felt like a healing balm over his bruised soul. He watched Rosa expertly comfort the children, her compassion pouring out like a waterfall. "Martin!" she called out suddenly, her voice slicing through his moment of bliss. He turned to see her looking distressed. "Look!" His heart skipped a beat as he noticed a woman frantically searching through the crowd. The chaos around them thrummed with urgency. "Is that?" Martin's voice faltered. "It has to be," Rosa said, determination in her eyes. Without hesitation, together they moved deeper into the throng, where hope and heartbreak intertwined. Would they get to the woman in time? Would these children reunite with their families, or were they to suffer the heartbreaking reality of loss? The weight of those unanswered questions loomed large as they pushed onward, the weight of their growing connection anchoring them amid chaos. Rosa's pulse raced as she spotted the woman again, her frantic movements cutting through the press of bodies. The pale pink of the woman's coat shone amidst the grays and browns of the crowd, a beacon of desperation that tugged at Rosa's heart. Martin mirrored her determination, scanning the sea of faces, unsure if they could bridge the divide fast enough. "Stay close," Rosa urged, guiding the children behind her as they weaved through clusters of onlookers, all equally consumed by their own concerns. Each stride felt critical. Time seemed to stretch and constrict, like the shudder of a heartbeat. "Help! Someone help!" The woman's voice rose above the din, sharp and piercing. Rosa couldn't ignore it. The children clung tighter to her, sensing the urgency. "Mommy!" one of the kids cried out, his voice cracking. Rosa glanced down to see a girl pinch her eyes shut as if trying to numb the swirling chaos. "I want my mommy." Martin stopped for an instant, crouching down beside the boy. "We're going to find them. Just keep holding on," he whispered, trying to infuse his tone with confidence. The boy nodded, but the tremble of his chin betrayed his fear. They finally reached the woman, who had dropped to her knees, eyes wide and frantic. "Have you seen my son? He's about 6, blue shirt, he was just here." She looked wild, searching with an intensity that heightened the anxiety in everyone around them. Rosa's throat tightened. "We're helping lost kids. We've got some children here. They need to know you're safe." She pointed to the little huddle behind her. As if sensing her presence, the woman looked up, her face wafting from panic to hope, but it was fleeting. "Not mine. I can't find him." Tears pooled in her eyes like storm clouds, and she buried her hands in her hair, pulling at it in despair. "Listen," Martin interjected, his voice steady. "We'll help you find him. You're not alone." He laced his fingers with hers, grounding her. "Where was the last place you saw him?" "By the playground." It's going to be okay," she stuttered, blinking hard to clear her vision. "I think he was with a girl in a red dress." "Okay. Let us get to the playground," Rosa commanded, her resolve strengthening. Together they turned back, hastily maneuvering through the throng of people who remained oblivious to the urgency in their mission. The playground loomed ahead, its bright colors contrasting starkly with the gray atmosphere. "Please, please let him be there," the woman whispered, her breaths quickening. As they approached, the sounds of laughter and cries melded together. A flicker of movement caught Rosa's eye. "Look!" She pointed toward a small figure running around in the sand. They rushed forward, and the woman's body seemed to ripple with hope. But as they got closer, tension tightened in the air. The boy was there laughing, but not alone. A chubby toddler in a red dress by his side scooped sand with a plastic shovel. "No!" The woman screamed, darting forward, only to freeze in the next moment. "Mommy?" The boy turned, confusion etching his features. "Eric!" she called, collapsing to her knees. For a heartbeat, it seemed as if everything else faded away, the noise, the fear the world distilled into this moment. But as she reached for him, a deep breath escaped from Rosa. Would the girl be okay? Did any child know what it felt like to be scared and lost? As they all moved closer, Rosa saw Martin standing back, his gaze fixed on the family reunion, yet the worry lingering in his eyes told a different story. "Are you okay?" she inquired softly, breaking from her focus. "I'm just thinking we have to protect them," he murmured, solemn. "If they can't find their families, what then?" The screaming of sirens crescendoed around them, slicing through their fragile hope. Rosa felt the walls of uncertainty creep in again, but with the palpable charge around them, a question arose: how could they stay strong when another storm was on the horizon? The moment of reunion was bittersweet, buzzing with relief and anxiety all at once, leaving Rosa and Martin caught in a whirlwind of emotion. What choice would they make when the next wave of chaos hit? Rosa's heart was still pounding in her chest as she stood with Martin, watching the woman clutch her son, relief flooding through her every feature. Eric's laughter rang like music, it should have filled the space with joy. But the blaring sirens clouded that joy, a constant reminder that risk still loomed in the air. "Stay here," Martin instructed the children, his voice firm as he moved away to survey the playground. He drifted toward a group of nearby parents, exchanging whispers and concerned glances. Rosa watched him, appreciating his quiet strength as he took on the role of protector in this chaos. Rosa turned back to the woman, who was now caressing her son's hair, whispering, "I thought I lost you." Tears stained her cheeks, but there was a radiant smile forming, breaking through the anguish. It was a powerful sight, love overcoming fear. "Is there anyone else you need to find?" Rosa asked gently. The woman paused, then shook her head slowly. "No, just him." But even as the woman spoke, Rosa noticed the shifting expressions of the nearby kids. Some were still looking for their families, eyes darting around in confusion. The skinny boy clutching her leg, Jordan, had his mouth set in an anxious line. She squatted down in front of him. "You okay, buddy?" "No," he whispered, his voice small. "I'm scared." "I know, sweetie," Rosa said, her heart aching for him. "But you're safe here. We're going to find your mom." From the distance, Martin rejoined them. "There are so many lost children. We need to keep helping. This isn't over," he said, determination hardening his expression. Rosa nodded, feeling the weight of his words. Every child seated in the sand, each startled face peeking out from a crowded corner, fueled a resolve within her. "We'll figure something out," she assured them all. As more parents arrived, frantic and out of breath, the atmosphere thickened with dread and urgency. Rosa looked back at the playground. It had transformed from a space of laughter into one laden with tension. She thought of how swiftly joy could turn to fear. Where was the safety that used to blanket the area? Martin began organizing the search, telling the parents precisely where to stand and how to call for their children. But every time a child approached without recognition, the weight of uncertainty deepened. "Let us form a line," he suggested, glancing back at Rosa. "We can create a system, make sure every lost child can be seen." It wasn't a perfect plan, but it was a start. "Let us do it," Rosa agreed, rallying the kids around them. They set to work, moving in tandem like a unit fueled by a single goal. As the line began to form, Rosa felt a sense of camaraderie blossoming, people stepping forward to help one another, voices offering comfort, children assuring their peers they were not alone. Yet, every moment brought a pang of urgency. Time was not on their side. "Rosa!" Martin's voice called. "Look!" His finger pointed toward the edge of the crowd. A little girl, spotted with tears, her hair wild like something out of a fairy tale, stood alone. Rosa's breath hitched. "We have to get her." She could sense Martin's agreement even without words. Pushing through the crowd, the two rushed toward the girl. But just before they could reach her, something extraordinary happened. A figure emerged, an older woman, her eyes wide with concern. Rosa caught a glimpse of familiarity that turned the air electric. Could it be possible? The girl spun, her small hands reaching upward, her cries ringing through Rosa's ears. "Mommy!" Rosa froze, the weight of the moment sending ripples through her heart. Who was this woman? And why did it feel like everything was about to change once again? "Get ready," Martin whispered. "We're about to uncover something deeper than we thought." Rosa's mind raced. The scene in front of her felt surreal, like a moment stolen from a dream. The little girl, her face streaked with tears, flung herself into the arms of the woman. The pure, unfiltered emotion between them was palpable. It was a love so strong, it shattered the noise around them. "Mommy!" The girl sobbed, clinging tightly to the woman. Each word cut through the chaos like a knife, reminding Rosa of the love and protection a mother provides. Yet, it also deepened the ache in her heart, as she thought of Jordan, still grasping her leg, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "Mommy!" As if the word had a gravitational pull, it seemed to draw the attention of everyone nearby. Heads turned, eyes widened, and whispers surged through the crowd. Rosa knelt down beside Jordan. "Hey, buddy. I know this is scary. But let us keep our eyes on each other. Your mom will be here soon. I promise." The small boy looked up at her, hope flickering in the depths of his fear. Martin glanced back, his brow furrowed with concentration. "We need to find everyone. There's got to be a way to scan the area quicker." Rosa nodded, that sense of urgency pressing deeper into her chest. "Let us split up. I can talk to the parents and help calm down the kids who still need their families. You can keep looking. We'll cover more ground that way." He hesitated for a second, his eyes locking onto hers. "Be careful, okay? Call for me if you need anything." "Always," she replied, forcing a small smile as she watched him blend back into the crowd. She stood and took a deep breath, scanning the faces around her. Parents were searching, desperately calling names, their voices laced with fear. Nearby, some kids were still huddled together, whispering, exchanging stories of what they had seen, what they had felt. "Okay, everyone." Rosa raised her voice to cut through the murmurs. "We're going to find your families. I need your help." A few pairs of eyes looked her way, wary but intrigued. "Can you all take a deep breath with me?" She did it with them, showing them how to breathe in and out slowly. She knew that grounding them was just as crucial as finding their loved ones. "Now, let us make noise. Shout out for your moms and dads." The cacophony shifted from frightened murmurs to energetic calls. "Mom! Dad!" Rosa smiled as the sounds belted out. She felt the tiny spark of hope growing stronger, reinforcing that they were all in this together. She turned her gaze back to the woman and girl, still clinging together. That bond was special, and it was that love driving Rosa's spirit, pushing her forward. But just as she turned to get her bearings, a sudden commotion caught her attention. A man in a loud voice was demanding something from the crowd, panicking parents around him. "Where's my daughter? I can't find her." His distress echoed so loudly it sent a shiver racing down Rosa's spine. "Look! Over there!" A woman near the man pointed toward the slide, a flash of pink. Rosa's heart raced again, but this time, she didn't hesitate. She dashed toward the slide, her breath mingling with the mounting tension. As she approached, she spotted the girl, her pink dress undeniable. "Hey! Sweetie!" Rosa called out as the little girl stood frozen, staring intently at something. Then the girl turned slowly, her face lifting, revealing wide eyes full of recognition. "Mommy?" Rosa's stomach knotted as she felt the sharpness of fear again. If the girl hadn't felt that joy of reunion, the cries of the man grew louder. "No, not you. Where's my Mia?" Rosa felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Did someone else need her help? Would this moment also turn into something profound? And in that instant, it all seemed to tilt. As everything fell quiet, Rosa took a step forward. The world around her blurred into the background. She had to decide how far she was willing to go for each child in need. "Who are you looking for?" Rosa asked softly, a mix of determination and fear bubbling in her chest, as all eyes turned toward her. What would she uncover amidst this turmoil, and would the answers bring comfort or chaos? Rosa felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. The man's voice trembled with raw desperation. She could see the anguish etched on his face, a reflection of countless parents in that chaotic scene. I am looking for my daughter. My Mia. She's just a little girl. She was right here." A deep breath steadied Rosa. "I understand. We'll find her," she assured him, her voice stronger than the uncertainty racing inside her. The crowd shifted, people pressing in closer, eager to help yet unsure how. Rosa noticed the small girl in the pink dress step back from the chaos, uncertainty replacing the joy of a reunion. She didn't belong to the frantic man but bore witness to the storm of emotions swirling around them. "Can you describe Mia for me?" Rosa asked, her tone calm, trying to anchor the man's racing heart. "She has curly brown hair, big brown eyes, and she was wearing a blue shirt with daisies." She was excited to go on the slide," he stammered, glancing wildly around. "We'll find her," Rosa promised again and turned to the kids nearest her. "You all heard that? We're looking for Mia." Together, they called out her name, echoing it in the air. "Mia! Where are you?" Rosa felt the children's energy pulse as they joined the search, their innocent enthusiasm wrapping around her like a blanket, lifting her spirit just a little more. But doubt still nipped at her heels. What if they couldn't find her? What if the little girl was lost, scared, alone? Rosa moved through the crowd, her heart racing, feeling every pulse of anxiety, the parents' frantic calls, the whispers of fear, the unyielding hope of children who still believed in miracles. The atmosphere was heavy, but she pushed on, determined. As she approached the playground again, she spotted an older boy who wasn't looking toward the commotion. Instead, he was peering back toward the trees. "Hey! You see something?" she asked, rushing over. "There's a little girl back there," he replied, pointing with hesitation. "She looks sad. She's just sitting there." "Okay, lead me to her," Rosa said. Her heart pounded loudly as they weaved through the shifting crowd and the playful shouts of other children. "Right here." The boy stopped suddenly, pointing toward a small clearing. Rosa's breath caught as she spotted a figure sitting against a tree, knees pulled tightly to her chest. "Mia." Rosa called softly, trying to keep her voice gentle but firm. The girl looked up, and for a moment, Rosa could see her fear raw and vulnerable. "Mia?" The girl echoed, her voice trembling. "That's me. Come here, sweetheart." Rosa crouched down, reaching out her hand. The little girl hesitated, her big brown eyes scanning Rosa's face for any sign of danger, any hint of uncertainty. "It's okay. I'm here to help. Your dad is looking for you," Rosa encouraged, feeling every second stretch unbearably long. Slowly, Mia began to move. She stood up, brushing the dirt from her dress, and then a sigh of relief broke from Rosa as the little girl took a tentative step forward. Just then, a rush of footsteps approached. The man from earlier burst through the crowd, eyes scanning frantically, before locking onto Mia. He rushed toward her, tears streaming down his face. "Mia! There you are! Mia!" Rosa echoed, feeling warmth fill her chest. She stepped back, knowing this moment was theirs. As they embraced, the father held Mia tightly, and Rosa watched their reunion unfold, pure and heartfelt. Relief washed over her like a wave, yet it was tinged with an ache, a longing for what she had lost. They were whole, wrapped in love and protection. But what about the others? The children who still trembled with uncertainty? Rosa turned back to the gathering crowd, feeling the need to stand tall, to be the strength for everyone still searching. "Let us keep going," she called out, her eyes scanning for the next lost face. But just then, she noticed Jordan wasn't by her side anymore. Panic swelled inside her again. "Jordan!" she called out, her voice wavering slightly as she peered into the sea of faces surrounding her. Was he lost again? What if they didn't find him? What if? "Jordan!" Rosa called, urgency flooding her voice. The laughter of children and the chatter of parents faded into a dull hum. Her heart beat loud against her chest, drowning out everything else. She spun around, searching, but the faces around her morphed into a blur. "Jordan!" she cried again, more desperate this time. The panic was crawling up her throat like a choking vine. Her mind raced with the possibilities. He could be anywhere, lost, scared, melting into the crowd, or having the time of his life. She took a few hurried steps into the crowd, scanning eager little faces, but none of them were his. "Where are you, buddy?" she whispered, clutching her phone tightly. A familiar figure caught her eye, a mother waving her arms, brow furrowed in distress. Rosa rushed over, heart hoping. "Have you seen a boy with curly hair, maybe wearing a red shirt?" The woman shook her head, worry plastered across her face. "No. But I saw a little boy running towards the slides with a red shirt a while ago." Rosa's stomach twisted. "Thank you," she managed, then turned to the bustling playground. The sound of laughter taunted her as she fought against the surge of anxiety threatening to swallow her whole. She ran toward the slides, eyes scanning every child's face, searching desperately. "Jordan! Please!" Each call felt like a promise that echoed in her heart. Then she spotted him. Her boy, her sweet Jordan, perched high on a slide, laughing with a group of kids. Relief washed over Rosa, as if a dam had burst inside her. But then her heart sank. The slide was tall, she had always worried about him climbing to the top. "Jordan!" she yelled, a mix of joy and alarm blending in her voice. He turned, eyes lighting up as he saw her, but the boys around him encouraged him. "Come on, dude. Just jump." Without thinking, he grinned widely and pushed himself off the slide. Rosa's heartbeat thundered as he hurtled through the air, landing safely on the ground, but his delight turned to confusion when he noticed her expression. "Mom! Look!" he shouted excitedly, his bravado obscuring the moment's tension. "Jordan!" She rushed to him, her arms wrapping around him, lifting him off the ground. "You scared me. I thought I lost you." He giggled, oblivious to the turmoil that had swept through her heart. I was just playing. Look, I can climb super high. You can't just run off like that, she said, the words slipping out sharper than intended. She pulled back slightly to search his blue eyes, hoping he could see the mix of fear and relief in hers. Sorry, Mom, he mumbled, looking down. Tears of relief threatened to spill over. I know you're excited, but you have to stay close. A distant shout cut through their moment, a parent calling for their own child, and Rosa felt the collective weight of anxiety hovering in the air. She turned quickly to the crowd again. Parents scanning, children lost in their games. The hug tightened around her boy, longing to melt away the fear that still gripped this day. Let us go back to the others, she said softly. Stick close to me this time, okay? Jordan nodded, and they started back together, but her heart felt heavy. What about the other parents? What if they didn't find their kids? As she moved through the crowd, she felt the little tragedies lurking behind every smile. Kids lost in the chaos, just like Mia had been. The scene suddenly shifted. Rosa caught sight of a woman breaking from the plaza, eyes wide with realization. In her arms was a little boy, his cheeks stained with tears. The mother clutched him tightly, but his gaze drifted back to the crowd, searching desperately. Jordan, wait here, Rosa said firmly. Mom. Just wait, she insisted, moving in the boy's direction. Her heart raced again, fueled by an instinct to comfort, even as worry pulled her away from her own. She reached the woman, just as another startled mother approached. Is he yours? The stranger asked, breathless. Rosa turned her own focus, seeing the child's face twist in fear. What happened? It's okay, I'm here. You're safe now, she said, the words soothing and familiar. In that moment, it hit her, today was about more than just finding children. Each lost face held a story, and she needed to embrace all the lost moments. Rosa's eyes darted around again, feeling the magnitude of what was happening on this chaotic day. So many lives tangled together, fear and relief woven into one fabric. But the child's gaze was clear now, and as Rosa reached out to him, a shadow passed overhead. A rustle, a sudden shift. What was that? Rosa's eyes lifted, filled with dread as a commotion erupted off to her left. What now? And as she turned, she realized, the storm was far from over. Rosa's heart raced as she turned to see what had caused the disturbance. Parents were shouting now, voices rising in a chaotic chorus that sent chills down her spine. She gripped Jordan's hand tighter, instinctively pulling him behind her as they edged toward the source of the noise. In the throng, a man was gesturing wildly, his dark features twisted in panic. He pointed toward the entrance of the playground with a wild look in his eyes. Help! Someone help! My daughter, she was just here. Rosa felt a pang of empathy. She couldn't imagine the fear coursing through that man as he searched for his little girl. The sheer vulnerability of parenthood hit hard, a reminder that today was about holding on to the ones you love in the face of chaos. Jordan tugged at her sleeve, his voice small. Mom, is that little girl lost? Yes, sweetheart, she replied softly, her resolve hardening. But we can help. We have to help. With her heart set on finding the girl, Rosa started moving with purpose, keeping Jordan close. She felt a wave of determination washing over her, stronger than the earlier panic. They stepped forward, approaching the frantic father. What does she look like? Rosa asked, glancing around, scanning the sea of children. He turned to her, eyes wide and desperate. She has straight brown hair, wears a pink dress. Please. She was right near the swings. Jordan, I need you to stay with me and help. Look, she said, her voice steady. His nod was firm, his small hand squeezed hers back, grounding her in the moment. Okay, let's check the swings, Rosa suggested, her voice rising a little above the din. They rushed toward the swing set, moving as quickly as the crowd allowed. Each step felt like a weighty heartbeat on the path to hope. The swings were empty, swaying slightly in the gentle breeze. Rosa swallowed hard. Where could she be? Maybe she went to the slide. Jordan suggested, his small brow furrowed in concentration. Good thinking. Let us check there, Rosa replied, a flicker of gratitude for her boy's instincts. They hurried toward the slides, passing parents who were now joining the search, desperation etched on their faces. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the urgency of the moment. It wasn't a scream of joy, but one laced with fear. Rosa and Jordan froze. The sound came from the area beside the big climbing structure, surrounded by a group of curious children who seemed unsure whether to run toward or away from the commotion. Mom, what's happening? Jordan asked, his voice trembling. I don't know, honey, but we have to be brave, she whispered, steeling herself. With a deep breath, she led him through the crowd, her instincts screaming for action. As they approached, a little girl broke away from the group. She wore a pink dress, her tear-streaked face illuminated by the late afternoon sun. Rosa's heart twinged at the sight. Is that her? She thought instantly, the resemblance was undeniable. Without hesitation, Rosa knelt down and opened her arms. Hey there, sweetie, come here. You're safe now, she called softly, her voice soothing, weaving its way through the anxiety clinging to the air. The girl paused, eyes wide with uncertainty. Then she ran to Rosa, collapsing into her embrace. At that moment, Rosa closed her eyes, relief flooding her as she held the trembling child, who sobbed silently. But just as the sense of relief settled over her like a warm blanket, the girl pointed back into the crowd. My daddy. He's looking for me. Rosa opened her eyes, looking toward the frantic father who was now pushing through the crowd, desperation giving way to relief as he spotted his daughter. But then, from the corner of her eye, a new shadow shifted, and Rosa felt a tightening in her chest. A tall figure loomed in the distance, silhouetted against the sun, and with it came an overwhelming surge of memories she tried to bury. Mom. Jordan whispered, eyes darting back and forth between the scene and the shadow. As the father reached his daughter, screaming in joyous relief, Rosa felt the warmth of the moment eclipsed by the weight of something larger, something lingering just beyond the clear horizon. What was happening here? Why did that shadow feel so familiar? Hold on, okay? She asked Jordan, the question hanging in the air. I just need to see what that's about, and that was when she took her first step towards the looming figure, as the storm inside her began to stir once again. Rosa stepped toward the tall figure, heart thrumming in her chest. As she drew closer, recognition washed over her like a tidal wave, pulling her back to a time she thought she'd forgotten. It was her own estranged mother, the woman who had chosen a path far away from everything that once mattered to her. Mom. Rosa croaked, disbelief lacing her voice. The figure turned slowly, revealing the familiar, weathered features that had haunted her dreams. Now, their eyes met, and for a heartbeat, time stopped. The crowds faded, the laughter of children grew distant, and the chaos of the playground blurred around them. Rosa the woman whispered, eyes brimming with tears. In that instant, all of the heartache, the missing pieces of their fractured family flooded back. Pain wrapped tightly around Rosa's chest, but it mingled with a spark of hope. What are you doing here? Rosa found her voice, trembling with unasked questions. I came to see the park to remember, her mother choked out, glancing toward the playground filled with laughter and life. But I never thought I was hoping to find you. After all these years. Rosa took a step backward, not out of anger but from the weight of her emotions. You left. I know, her mother pleaded, tears spilling down her cheeks. I made a terrible mistake. I've missed so much. I thought what? Rosa interjected, a swell of bitterness bubbling up. That we'd just pick up where we left off. No, please. Let me explain. But then the little girl in the pink dress broke through the barrier, her arms outstretched toward her father, and the moment snapped back to reality. Rosa felt the pull of the crowd as families reunited, joy and relief radiating from every corner. "Mom, I can't do this right now," Rosa said softly, her voice trembling with conflict. And then, against the cacophony of laughter and cries, she heard a small, familiar voice. "Mommy?" Rosa turned just in time to see Jordan running toward her, face flushed with joy. "I was looking for you. I found you." The innocence, the unconditional love in his eyes, took her breath away. "Jordan." She knelt down to sweep him into a hug. Focusing on his warmth, she felt her heart soften, the chaos of earlier dimming against the pure affection between them. As she pulled away, her mother stood a few paces back, uncertainty heavy in the air. "Rosa, please," her mother began again, but Rosa shook her head, struggling to compartmentalize the emotions swirling inside her. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," she admitted, glancing at her son, feeling the weight of her own childhood experiences. "I just want to protect him. You weren't there for me. What would change?" Rosa's mother flinched at the honesty, the hurt spilling forth like an open floodgate. "I can't change the past, but I'm here now. Can't we try?" From behind the veil of uncertainty, Rosa saw Jordan looking up, his innocent gaze prompting her to consider the idea of forgiveness, of healing. "Maybe I can help guide you," he said quietly, venturing to set a hopeful tone. Rosa smiled, tears stinging her eyes as she looked at her son holding her heart tenderly in his small hands. "Together?" she whispered, almost afraid to believe. "Yes." Jordan's enthusiasm burst forth. "We can all be together now." And suddenly, she understood. Just like the children they fought to protect today, she could allow herself to reclaim what had been lost, to embrace imperfections and the fragility of connection. A partnership forged amongst love, hope, and the promise of tomorrow. "Okay, Mom," Rosa said, her voice steadier than before. "Let us start with today. But it's going to take time." With tentative steps, they began to walk toward the chaos that had transformed into something remarkably beautiful. The laughter intertwined with their shared resolve, mingling with the echoes of healing and forgiveness. As they melted back into the crowd, Martin appeared beside Rosa, his strong presence embedding warmth. He had witnessed it all, his eyes glinting with approval and understanding, an unspoken bond that had grown from their chaos into collaboration. "Did you find what you were searching for?" he asked, his voice gentle but carrying noteworthy strength. "Maybe," she replied, her heart swelling with determination. Together, embracing what was left of an old world while forging a new path, they moved forward, hand in hand, ready to discover the depths of compassion, healing, and connection amidst that vibrant chaos. As the sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue over the playground, the blending lives and stories illuminated a vital truth: no matter how stormy the world could be, love could be the anchor guiding them home. So, roses may wilt and storms may roll in, but through every challenge, there would always be a chance for rebirth if they remembered to hold on to each other tightly. Now, it's your turn to join the journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, showing everyone how much you support these transformations. Comment below about your favorite part, your reactions, and feelings about this ending. And finally, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel inspired by this remarkable journey. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. True fans know how important this is.